Welcome back to MMA Surge. I'm your host, Andrew Montañez. Today we're going to break down the UFC 156 fight card featuring Frankie Edgar versus Jose Aldo for the Featherweight Championship of the world. I'm also going to break down two other fights on the main card and let you know who's going to win and how they're going to win. The first fight is Antonio Silva against Alistair Overeem. Alistair Overeem, if you have not seen him, check him out. He's enormous. He's completely muscle built, and he's just a really good kickboxer. Before he got into the UFC, he was the K1, the Dream, and the Strikeforce heavyweight champion. That's a tough task to pull off. He came into the UFC, he fought Brock Lesnar, defeated Brock Lesnar, but you see how big Alistair Overeem is, he got popped for steroids, so he had to serve about a 1-year suspension. Now he's over the suspension, he's going to fight Antonio Silva. Antonio Silva was a really good Strikeforce fighter. He was in the Strikeforce Grand Prix, and now he's in the UFC. Dana White has said if Alistair Overeem wins this fight, he'll be fighting Cain Velasquez next for the UFC heavyweight title. So let's break down who's going to win, how they're going to win, and what they got to do to win this fight. So Alistair Overeem, really good striker. Great kickboxing. He comes from a Dutch kickboxing style, which is just a very aggressive, very brutal kickboxing style. Also, he's a very good submission and ground base. So I think for Alistair to win this fight, he just got to keep the fight standing. He has a lot of power. He's knocked out, pretty much his last 10 to 15 opponents, and he's dominated them. He has a lot of power. He's very strong. So for him, he's going to win by punches and knees. That's the way he's going to win it. He has really good takedown defense. If you saw him fight Fabricio Werdum in the Strikeforce tournament, Fabricio Werdum was trying for takedowns the whole fight, but Alistair Overeem just kept his hips in and kept the fight standing, and he won himself a really good unanimous decision. For Antonio Silva to win this fight, I don't know if you guys know who Antonio Silva is, but his nickname is Bigfoot because he's enormous as well. He's an overgrown human being. He actually was one of the only men to defeat Fedor Emelianenko. Fedor was the longtime Pride heavyweight champion and widely regarded as the best heavyweight ever, and Antonio Silva beat him. So, there's a lot of clout to Antonio Silva. So for Antonio Silva to win this fight, he's got very good striking himself, but where he could really exploit Alistair Overeem is by taking the fight to the ground. If he can get a takedown or get some sort of trip or catch one of Alistair's takedowns and bring him to the ground, there's a good chance he could submit or TKO Alistair. That's the way I'd say Antonio Silva can win this fight. I don't see him being able to stand with Overeem too long, but I think he can stand for a little bit. If I'm going to choose a winner of this fight, I'm going to choose Alistair Overeem. I'm going to say we're going to have ourselves a second-round TKO. I just see Bigfoot struggling for takedowns and eating a lot of knees and punches on the way in. And I think Alistair Overeem is just going to finish him. He's just that type of fighter, and I think sometime this year we'll see Alistair Overeem against Cain Velasquez for the heavyweight title. All right, let's break down the co-main event of UFC 156 featuring former UFC light heavyweight champion Rashad Evans against Antonio Rogerio Nogueira. Not to be confused with his brother Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. This is Antonio Rogerio Nogueira. This is a really big fight in the light heavyweight division. The light heavyweight division, it's this weight class where there's not many guys left to fight for the title. Jon Jones has pretty much cleared the weight class. He's defeated everyone very dominantly, so it's hard to find challengers. If you see who Jon's fighting, you see he just fought Vitor Belfort. He's about to fight Chael Sonnen. Those are two of Anderson's last 5 opponents that he fought at 185. So guys are going to have to come from 185 up to fight Jon Jones. So, if Rashad Evans or Antonio can win this fight, they may get a title shot. The way the UFC is working, being able to fill in a fight is huge these days. So let's break down who's going to win and how they're going to win. Rashad Evans, really good wrestler, great striking, and pretty good submission game. You don't see too much of it. He likes to keep the fight standing, even though he comes from a wrestling background. Antonio Nogueira, he got to box with the Brazilian national team. He has really good hands. He may look like an old man. He may look kind of seasoned and beat up, but he's very good. His hands are very crisp. He's very accurate with his strikes. Any boxing fans, this is the fight to watch. I don't see this fight really hitting the ground unless Rashad Evans wants to take it to the ground. But I foresee Rashad Evans trying to keep the fight standing, working the boxing. We're going to have ourselves a really good boxing matchup. I think for Antonio Nogueira to win this fight, he needs to pick his shots, really box Rashad, keep the fight standing, and keep the fight at his distance. Even if Rashad takes down Antonio, Antonio's got a great guard, one of the best guards in all of MMA. The Nogueira brothers are known for their jiu-jitsu. They're known for their attacking guard. So Rashad's got to be careful if he does try for takedowns. That's why I say the fight's going to stay standing. For Rashad to win, he just got to keep the fight standing and pick his shots. He has a lot of power. I think he has enough power to put away Nogueira. So I'm going to pick on this fight. We're going to pick Rashad Evans by 3-round decision. I think he's going to land some really big shots. I don't know if he's going to be able to finish Antonio Nogueira, but I think he's going to find some spots that really make him look like the winner. Rashad moving out to Florida, leaving Team Jackson. He's found his home, and I think he's going to win. I don't think he's going to be able to fight Jon Jones anytime soon, but he's going to be one step closer. I'm going to pick him by 3-round decision. I think he's just going to dominate, and if he has to take the fight to the ground, he will. And last but not least, for the UFC Featherweight Championship, Jose Aldo, current champion, against former lightweight champion Frankie Edgar. This is a really good fight. This is huge. This is kind of one of those fights that we can call a super fight. You know, even before Frankie Edgar won his light heavyweight title, everyone was saying his real and true weight class should be 145. So it's really good to see him down at 145. There's a lot of pressure on Frankie Edgar to win this fight. He's only won 1 out of his last 4 fights, losing 2 decisions to Benson Henderson and having a draw to Gray Maynard. So he's got to win this fight. If you lose 4 out of your last 5 fights, it's tough to find a spot. So Frankie really needs to pull this one out, but it's no easy task against Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo has been destroying everyone. He knocks out everyone. His striking is superb, and his leg kicks are ridiculous. If you saw his fight against Uriah Faber and you saw Uriah Faber's pictures of his leg after the fight, that's what happens to guys. Their legs get black and purple. You don't want to get kicked by Jose Aldo. It's one of those things you really can't even train for. You find out during the fight how hard his leg kicks are. So I think this is going to be a really good fight. This might be a 5-round fight. I say for Frankie Edgar to win this fight, he's got to really work his boxing. His boxing is really good, and he's got to stay away from the leg kicks. Anytime Jose Aldo throws a leg kick, I think Frankie needs to turn that into a catch takedown, bring it to the ground, or he's got to check them. He's got to move away from the kicks and just move in and out and not get kicked as much. You know, Frankie's got kind of little legs. It could really play a big factor in this fight. But Frankie's really good on top. I think if he lands a few really good takedowns and can pass Jose Aldo's guard and possibly get him tired, he could win this fight. But if you look at Jose Aldo, he doesn't get tired too often. His striking is really good, and his takedown defense is superb. He's a top-level black belt in jiu-jitsu. His takedown defense is great, and his striking is through the roof. So it's not an easy task for Frankie Edgar to win this fight. So if I had to pick a winner on this fight, I'm probably going to say Jose Aldo is going to keep his title, and Frankie Edgar is going to be in this limbo area where he doesn't know if he has to go back up to lightweight, drop down to 135, or maybe have a rematch. But I pick Jose Aldo by 4th-round TKO. I just think the leg kick's going to be a little too much, and he's going to land a really big shot on Frankie. You know, Frankie's known for taking a beating in the first couple rounds, and I think he will, but I don't see him surviving this fight. No offense to Frankie, I just think Jose Aldo's way too good. So remember to check out UFC 156 and see if my predictions are indeed correct again. I think we're going to see Jose Aldo retain his belt and TKO Frankie Edgar in the 4th round. I think we're also going to see Rashad Evans win a decision over Nogueira, as well as Alistair Overeem knocking out Antonio Silva in the 2nd round. It's going to be a great card. It's going to have a lot of action. Make sure you order it on pay-per-view. And also, let me know your predictions. Let me know who you think is going to win. We also have a request week coming up, so let us know what episode you want to see. And if you guys leave a good request, that's the episode we will do. I'm the Squid. Make sure you subscribe to MMA Surge, and I'll see you next time.